Versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
Hey, it's Larry Sharp. Yes, I am here. WYSL, Rochester, New York, on A Free Solution. So happy to have you here for a small chunk of your afternoon. Yes, you're saying, Larry, aren't you the guy from the Sharp Way? I am, and usually I'm on that show. That's true. But here I'm with you. All good. You want to reach out and call me? You can. 585-346-3000. You know, I was thinking here in New York City, where I live, there was an Uber strike. Still is, I think. So people are striking here for Uber. And you might say, why do I care if Uber strikes? Because when those types of things happen in a city like New York, it can really affect New York City travel. You might say, Larry, so what again? Why do I care if it affects New York City travel? Well, if you live in New York City, obviously it affects you. But if you don't, it still might. If you live in Manhattan, which is where most of it was, it might affect you too. Particularly this time of year. When I was a kid, I grew up in the South Bronx. You may know that. You may remember that from my other talks. And as I got a little bit older, I wanted to make money so I could do things. My mother and my father wanted to get out of the Bronx and move out to Long Island, which was a better life for us. Well, how could we do that? One of the things we used to do is my mom used to take the subway into Manhattan on the weekends and clean offices. That wasn't her job, but she would do it to make extra cash. Well, I wouldn't make extra cash too. Not just you. I want some. And I was probably 8, 9, 10. She was like, okay, come with me, do the work with me, and you'll get some of the money. And she did. So we jump on a subway, head into Manhattan, go into some office building. I don't remember what it was. This is like 40 years ago, 45 years ago. I don't remember. Early 70s. So we'd go in and we would literally be cleaning windows and dusting desks and all the things that were there, right? In an office building. I don't remember half of them. Some of them had multiple levels. So maybe they were banks as I look back. Perhaps they were. I don't even remember. And we would be cleaning. And I would clean for 8 hours, 10 hours, sometimes two days in a row, Saturday and Sunday. Why would some 8 or 9-year-old kid want to do that? Well, I didn't. Of course not. What kid wants to clean? But boy, did I want that money. I did want that money. So I shut up, did my job. My mom gave me a small cut. Now, I have no idea how much money she made. I have no idea, what my cut was. I can't remember any of that stuff. And I don't know if she even told me. I was just happy to get some money. And back in those days, $1.50 got you into the Yankee game in the bleachers, which is what I wanted to do every weekend during the summer. So I would spend my time doing this during the holiday season. Why do I say holiday season? Everyone's on vacation. People are leaving. The offices are shut down. That's when they're all getting clean for the new year. Back then, I don't know if that's still true now, but that's what they were doing. So during the holiday season, I'd be working, making cash, so that when the summer came, I had money in my pocket. I can go to Yankee games all day long. That's what I wanted. Pizza was like 45 cents a slice. Life was good. I got $2, got a slice of pizza and a Yankee game. Life is good. I remember that tremendously, and getting on the subway with my mom, going into Manhattan and making money. When we got older and we had moved out to Long Island, again, traveling into the city was a way that I would make money. I was probably 13, 14 in that area. My father had already passed. It's just me and my mom. I wanted to make money. Well, legally, you can't really work, right? In New York State at 13, 14. Well, I had to make some cash. So I went into and I worked off the books to stuff envelopes. Yes, back in the day when you had to stuff envelopes. So I would go in and I would stuff envelopes. Again, 8 hours, 10 hours of stuffing envelopes. To be clear, as a 13, 14-year-old teen, did I want to be taking a Long Island Railroad into Manhattan, hour and a half off of Long Island to go stuff envelopes for 8 to 10 hours? No. Did I want that money? Yeah, I did. I sure did. Because then I could come home and be the big man. I was a 14-year-old with cash in his pocket. I could hang out with my buddies, buy stuff, whatever I wanted to do. I was big man. Loved having that cash. But again, that was me traveling into Manhattan, which is where the opportunity was. Travel is key in any city, in any town, in any country, in any state. You've got to be able to travel to where your opportunity is. And surely, some people would never want to move to Manhattan or wouldn't even want to travel to Manhattan to make money. But some people do. And that might be you. And maybe it's not Manhattan. Maybe it's Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse. I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe it's just a town over where they could use you. When my mother was a little kid, she used to work on a farm, take her bike, drive to the town over, and work on a farm. And she didn't work for money. They were very poor. She worked for food. Literally, she worked for food to bring food home for her family so they could eat more meat. They didn't eat much meat when my mom was coming up. And she wanted to eat more meat. So she worked to eat more meat. So while this seems maybe sad in a way, it isn't. Everyone is trying to make the best of where they are, the best of what place they are, socially, economically, whatever it is, right? If you happen to be, I hope that you are fortunate and you were raised in wealth. Good for you if you were. And even if you were, you don't want to lose your wealth. You want to get more wealth, probably. Most of us aren't raised in wealth. And whatever we're raised in, we want to make that next level, right? We want to get up there and do the next thing. And very often, it's about the freedom to travel. Less travel means less opportunity. Less opportunity makes life harder to be forward. Even if you don't want to take advantage of an opportunity, knowing that you have it will make you happier. And you know what I mean. Yeah, I could go do that. I feel good about that. But I'll do this. I'm now choosing to do something else, knowing I can do the other thing. But how does it feel when you believe that the thing you're doing is the only option you have? Now you feel forced. Now you feel trapped. You don't want to do that. Now you're mad. Now you're unhappy. To be forward, you might have chosen to do the thing that you're doing now anyway. You might have chosen it. But if you had other options and you chose it, now you chose it. And you're like, okay, I don't mind doing this. My decision, I decided, all good. But now you're stuck. You're angry. I get it. There are a lot of unhappy people here across our country and in our state. People who are lacking opportunity or feeling like they're lacking opportunity, whether they are or not. To be forward, it doesn't matter if you actually are. If you don't believe you can do it, you're right. You can't, right? If you don't believe you can, you're not going to. But during this holiday season, it reminds me of the opportunities that I jumped on as a kid, as a teen, to make more money, to gain more experience, to build a work ethic, to want to get that money so I could move up in my life. Watch my parents get us out of the Bronx and onto Long Island, which some of you may not like Long Island, but I did compared to the Bronx. It was nice. It was nicer, right? We made our step up. I hope you make your step up, whatever your step up is. But that was ours. Of course, now I moved back into the city. I'm not sure if I was good or not. I'm not sure. I went from the Bronx to Long Island, now into Queens. I'm not sure that was the right move. But I did it anyway. I guess I'm still a city boy at heart, which is fine. But why am I bringing all this up? I'm bringing this up because you're going to constantly see people striking and unhappy, trying to change things. And when that happens, who's being affected? Remember Reagan and if some of you old enough may remember Reagan and the air traffic controllers. Now we have Uber. We've had cab strikes here in New York City. Travel is critical. There's a second piece here. This is specifically for New York State. Think about how many tolls and fees and fines we have to travel in the state. You might say, well, it's a little thing, Larry. Who's going to pay for the roads or whatever? You might say that. I get it. But who's actually paying for it? Average Joe Schmoes like me and you who are trying to get out there and make their life better. They're the ones paying. The wealthy aren't. The best example I'll give you is New York City right now. Next year, they're going to start congestion pricing in Manhattan. So to come into Manhattan, where the opportunity is, you're going to pay $15, $20 to show up. You know who's not going to pay that? The wealthy. Why not? They already live there. They already live there. This is literally a tax on the middle class and the working poor. Travel's everything. Getting around's everything. And in fact, it's the holiday season. Visiting your family and your friends is everything. I cannot stress how the freedom to move matters. Am I wrong? Tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharp on a free solution. WYSL, Rochester, New York. Back with your calls and the chat after your break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hey, this is Kevin Wilson, host of A Free Solution. You ever need a tool for just one project, but didn't want to spend the cash for something you'd use just once or twice? Well, there's a new tool library in Rochester where you can borrow just the thing you need instead of buying a new one. It's called the Tool Shed from the Southeast Area Coalition, and membership starts at just $25 a year. Use it for home projects or to support your business. Learn more and become a member at seektoolshed.org. That's SEAC toolshed.org.
Only available in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com. Official top quality tees, hoodies, and coffee mugs depicting the colorful WYSL logo or the already famous Mount Worstmore line of merch depicting Mount Rushmore style are for worst presidents. Of course, you know who is front and center up on that mountain. WYSL official items make perfect gifts, or they're a great way for you to make a personal statement. Locally produced and sold only in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
Yes, Larry Sharp back here on A Free Solution, WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. That's 3 zeros. If you want to talk to me, see how easy that is? If you're saying to yourself, you know what? I like this show. That's awesome. You can follow us on Facebook and also on YouTube, A Free Solution. That easy. I want to grab a couple people in the chat because they've been talking about kind of some nostalgic pieces, and I will. But before I go there, I know I'm pushing heavily on this travel thing because it matters. It's rare that people talking about excuse me, it's rare that people focus on, that's a better way of saying it. It's rare that people focus on the freedom to travel. You see it in New York State as they suspend your license all the time, as they take away your ability to move. How are you going to be happy if you can't move? How are you? And I don't necessarily just mean move your home, which is one option, of course, but just you to be able. What if you want to take a job that's 2 hours away? Up to you. Or 10 minutes away. Or move closer to your job. Or move closer to your family or friends. Or travel and visit your family and friends. Travel does make us happier. Travel really is important. And we shouldn't just willy-nilly decide that fines and fees are okay. And that once people strike and it's a monopoly, no one can move. That's not a good thing. You may remember I'd spoken for years, literally, the idea of sponsoring or leasing out naming rights for a bridge so that the sponsor could pay for the bridge maintenance and upkeep so that we wouldn't have to pay a toll on that bridge. In the case of New York City, most of the tolls are going to the MTA anyway, so we could have them sponsor it and help to supplement the MTA. Instead of it being the JFK bridge, now it's the Verizon bridge or the Pepsi bridge. And so many people got angry at me. And they said, oh my God, Larry, that would look terrible. I'm going to have advertisements everywhere. That would look terrible. And my response to them was the same thing. But then there's no tolls. And the average New Yorker can travel without a toll. I mean, in New York City, these tolls are $15, $18. You're only making $50 an hour if you're lucky here. That's an hour worth of your labor to cross a bridge. Does that make any sense? And people be angry. It doesn't look good. And I don't care what it looks like. I want people to be free. How about that? They'd be angry at me. Let me grab a couple of the comments you guys bring up. Thank you so much. Kay says, North Bronx, I want to get out also. I understand, Kay, completely. Absolutely. Look, I will always have a warm spot in my heart for the Bronx. I always will. And if you've grown up someplace, you'll always have a special place wherever you grew up. Of course you will, right? Whoever you are, whether you still live there or not. Doesn't mean you want to live there anymore. But yes, I mean, I walk through the South Bronx now every once in a while, and I brought my kids to where I used to live, my old apartment building, and I still have some warm memories of growing up there. I do. So yes. Dave says, you got a slice of pizza and a Yankee game for $2. I might have told you this, but I'll say it now in case you don't remember it. Yes, pizza when I was very young was 40 cents a slice. The first time I ever experienced inflation, talk about inflation now, this is back in the early 70s, probably 74,
for 100,000 people every single year. They're
in that area. I'm guessing that area. I go down to get my pizza and I have 50 cents. I remember this scarred me that I still remember from like 50 years ago. So I go there and I have 50 cents and I give the guy 50 cents for my pizza and he gives me a nickel back. And I said, no, you made a mistake. You got to give me a dime back. Pizza's 40 cents. He said, no, the price went up. I was like, what? Price go? What? Price go? Blew my mind. I didn't understand. I was like 7. I forgot. Yes, we used to walk around the Bronx without our parents at 7 and go buy pizza. That was the thing. That was okay. So I'd get my lunch, slice pizza. I was blown away that the pizza went up and 5 cents. That's like $1 million. How can that work? And I went home to tell my mom this, like the world's ending right now. Do we understand? Should we call the president? Like something's going on here. And she tried to explain to me inflation. Boy, I did not like that at all. I was not a happy camper. So yes, to your point, could I get a Yankee game and pizza for $2? Yes, because then I wanted to go to the bleachers, and the bleachers were $1.50. So $1.50 for bleachers, 45 cents for my pizza. I had 5 cents for penny candy. Life's good. This is not a bad deal. And one of the reasons why I wanted to work is when I was little, many times my father was the type of guy who didn't see much value in money. So he would give $5 to me sometimes on the weekends and say, go away. I don't want to see you this weekend. And that meant leave in the morning, come back for dinner on Saturday, leave in the morning Sunday, come back for dinner on Sunday, right? So Saturday and Sunday, out all day. He wanted me out all day. Well, for $5, that's 2 Yankee games. Easy, $3, 2 Yankee games. And if you start at 10 o'clock to meet the people coming in, the players coming in, watch the practice, which starts like around 11 or 12, then watch the game, it starts at 1, doesn't end till 4, mess around with my friends for an hour or so, and boom, I'm done. And if my buddy didn't have money, well, I could get him in too. At least one of the games. If he could scam another couple bucks, we could both go to both games. Life is good. So yes, eventually my mother convinced my father that money kind of had value, and we had to start, and he stopped giving me the $5. Well, he stopped giving me $5. I didn't like that. Hence, I went to work because I wanted my $5 again. So thank you for that, Dave. I appreciate that. Yes. Alexander says, love this story, Larry. Recently got a second job so I can hustle and save up for spring break. There we go. I love that. I plan to go to Wyoming. I want to move out there after college, and I want to go visit so I can check it out. I got to tell you guys, for those of you who are considering packing up and leaving, Wyoming's not a bad answer if you're okay with the weather. It can't, the winters can be brutal, but New York State winters can also be brutal. So if you're okay with that, Wyoming's not a bad place to go. It's a small state by population, but it's a very free state. Relative to New York, oh my God, it's super free. A little note that you may not know, the Libertarian Party, until just last month, actually had a Libertarian as an elected state rep. Yes, that's how free the state is. They actually elected a Libertarian into their state assembly. Sadly, he lost this year, but he had 2 years ago, he actually won. We had a Libertarian in the state assembly. So not a bad choice, if I may say so myself, Alexander. Not bad at all. Sam says, inflation makes me cry. Yes, me too, Sam. Can't even cross a bridge for $2. No. And I used to get a Yankee game and a slice of pizza with a little bit extra penny candy at that point. Yes, absolutely. Dave says, they'll eventually pay. I think he means the wealthy. If they own a car, when the feds start charging per mile fees to drive on roads. Well, yes and no, Dave. And for those people who know a lot of the wealthy in New York City, across the world, but we're talking New York City here, most of them don't own their own cars. They lease their cars to their business. Most, not all, but many of them, they lease their cars to their business. So the business officially owns the car. So it's cheaper and it's a write-off, of course. And the business can then pay for much of the fees and fines, maintenance, and in certain cases, gas, depending upon how the person's using it, so that kind of thing. But more importantly, Dave, they're wealthy. If you charge a guy who makes $3 million a year, $20 to come into New York City once in a while, so he's fine. Not gonna worry about it, right? That's like 1 minute of his labor. He's fine. No worries. I'm worried about the guy who makes 15, 20, $25 an hour. You're going to charge him $25 to come in? It's an hour of his labor. Gone. Just to come into a city. You're going to make a place where mass transit is the only way to come in. And when that fails, there's nothing left. And the wealthy will be here almost by themselves. Wait a minute. Maybe that is a good thing. I'm not sure. Tell me, Larry Sharp, on a free solution. WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Back with your calls and the chat after the break.
Pray for the USA.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, temperatures in the 20s. And Wednesday, partly cloudy in the 30s. Thursday, weather starts to go downhill. Rain or a little mixed to rain Thursday afternoon to all rain Thursday night. Temps will climb into the 40s, near 50 Friday morning with rain. Strong front comes in, plunging temps, freezing up with some snow Friday afternoon. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
The News 1040 weather phone. Call it now, 346-9140.
With energy costs on the way up, you want to keep the cold out and the warmth in. And when you keep the warmth in, you'll keep more of your money in your wallet. Chamberlain Construction reminds you, even if your home is relatively new, insulation technology has advanced rapidly, no matter whether your home or other building is recent or historic. Consult with Chamberlain about an insulation upgrade to save on energy. And whatever your need, they can handle it. Commercial or residential, roofing, siding, kitchens, baths, decks, porches, remodeling, bump outs, garages, with the best in materials and workmanship, over 30 years of reliable, ethical experience anywhere in the region. Now's the perfect time to get your important project underway. Call Chamberlain Construction Dansville, 370-5959, 370-5959. Contact Lee Chamberlain at lee@chamberlainconstruction.com. That's Chamber, L-I-N.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation.
We have a caller, Adam from Greece.
585-200-3182.
You're welcome.
That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Merry Christmas, YSL.
Looking for a gift for that hard-to-buy-for person? A gift from Fratelli's Restaurant in Avon is sure to please. While giving the gift of fine Italian food, Fratelli's gives you a gift too through Christmas Eve. Buy $50 or more of gift cards and receive a free $10 certificate. Some restrictions apply. Fratelli's will be open for catering pickup orders and gift certificates from noon to 4 on Christmas Eve. Call 346-6160. Homemade meals like Grandma used to make. Fratelli's Restaurant, Route 15, Avon.
With so much financial uncertainty, are you wondering if your retirement savings will last? The market ups and downs can keep you guessing, especially if you're approaching retirement or considering it. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor, Anthony Dijon. If you have more questions than answers about what's next, let's work together to help ensure you're prepared for the future. After all, retirement isn't the end of the road, it's a new beginning. Give me a call at 585-924-7471.
Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From afar, you can see, contrasting the concrete sidewalk, rhythmic sunlight flickering style, legs breezily coming down the avenue, strolling and strutting, walking the avenue, city to city, seeing, visiting restaurants, shops, boutiques, quaint spots, people, places, things, legs on the avenue, leg avenue, hosiery, lingerie, at Show World.
3 locations: Greece, Henrietta, and Waterloo.
Are you cold in your home? Pick up the phone and call Wise Home Energy at 270-5836. Don't be cold in your home. Pick up the phone, call 270-5836. Wise Home Energy has helped thousands of people get millions in grants and rebates to make their homes much warmer. So don't be cold in your home. Pick up the phone. Call Wise Home Energy at 270-5836 today.
Wise Home Energy is a participating contractor in the Home Performance with Energy Star program.
WYSL.
Quiz.
Hey, little nutcracker. Reminds me, where is Hillary anyway?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Happy holidays.
It's Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Queen in the morning.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
Yes, Larry Sharp back on a free solution. WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Echo, Larry, aren't you that Sharp Way guy? I am. If you want to watch that show, you can. You can head over to The Sharp Way on either Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or all the interweb things. I'm on all of them. Hope to hear from you, though, here, WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Speaking of the phone, I do want to take a call right now, if I could. Adam from Greece, New York. Adam, how are you? Did I miss you?
Oh, we lost him.
Oh, lost Adam. Okay. I was going to take a call from Adam. Adam, if you want to, please feel free to call back. I do want to bring up what Patty mentioned. And this is kind of important for this time of year. Patty says, your last show made me have a slight change of mind, my attitude about this time of year, this year. Thank you. I plan on baking holiday cookies today after this show. The price of eggs makes me ill now. So, second piece that I want to bring up here. I hope we all can find ways of making money. Of course I do, right? I try to. I hope you do. Alexander's talking about his second job he's taking. That's awesome. But not all of us are in a position to where we can go off and make money in another way. Either we're lacking time, physical strength if we are ill or older or disabled, or maybe we just don't have the ability or the desire to get back out there. Maybe there's much opportunity in our area and we have other things we take care of, other responsibilities. Happens all the time. Then how do you still do something to make this season better, to make your life better, to make the friends and family that you care about have a better experience? Well, and I just said so. She's baking cookies. I love it. That kind of thing is valuable also, right? And I know we talk often about our labor and how much money we can get from our labor. I get that. That's important. And how much value do others get from our labor? How does it feel when someone gives you something that they made, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I hope Patty's cookies are delicious, and they probably are. But what if they're not that great? Patty will be mad at me. I don't know. I'm just saying. Sake of argument. Say they're just good. And you could go to some cool artisan bakery in your city and get more interesting cookies, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. What would you, if you love Patty, prefer? I'm going to tell you straight up. If Patty wants to make cookies and I'm going to go see her and get those cookies, I'm going to love the fact that she made me cookies. I'm going to like it more than if she went to the cool artisan bakery in town and got the cool cookies, whatever the cool cookies are. I'm going to be happier that she made them because that labor she put in was for me. I like that. So thank you, Patty, for doing what you're doing. And I'm sure the people in your world, I know you have a lot of people in your world, I am sure they are going to love it. So Dave says, what? You walked around the Bronx by yourself? I did. And this is why I laugh so much on how we're so worried about our kids. I lived in the South Bronx in the 70s. Not the best neighborhood. And I walked around by myself all the time. Me and my buddies, me and my friends. So we did. It was our neighborhood. We trick-or-treated without parents. I know it sounds crazy, but we did. So we did. So yes. He then says, if candy's 5 cents, would that be nickel candy? Well, yes, but we didn't call it that because I think there was a store. I doubt that store still exists. But back in the 70s, off of not Grand Concourse, I think it was off the Grand Concourse and 161st Street. I think that's correct. If I remember, my memory's still there. There was a store that was right off the corner, and it was called Penny Candy. And I think back in the day, candy did cost a penny. Now most of it was a nickel. He had a couple of these you can go in and grab your hand and you get like a penny each. He had a couple of those, but most of them were about a nickel or so in that area. We still called it Penny Candy because the store was the Penny Candy store. So yes, but no. How about that? Yes, but no. I'll cover both of those. So thank you for the chats you guys keep throwing out. But I do want to go to another piece, which I think is kind of important. And it's a little bit off, but it's on. What I mean by that is what got me thinking about this entire topic and the story from when I was a kid was the constant strikes we're seeing. And many of these strikes are here in New York State, across the country, but they're in New York State specifically. Amazon strike, Uber strike, railway strike, so many of these strikes that we're seeing. And many people think, well, Larry, as a libertarian, don't you hate unions? No, not at all. Unions are fine. Unions are literally freedom of speech and freedom of association combined so that you can, decide voluntarily to negotiate as a group. But there are problems. The first one is when they are either public sector unions or basic monopoly unions, which is the same as a public sector union. So when the railway workers strike, that's a problem, right? When the air traffic controllers strike, that's a problem, right? Now, Uber, not the end of the world, but what about when taxi cab drivers were striking before there was an Uber? All of these are basically government-created monopolies. There's no other option for us. I make them, well, Larry, you don't want another option because you want to support the workers so they can get the most money to be forward. Yes, I do want workers to get as much money as they can. Of course I do. But I want their money that they get to be tied to their value, just like anything else. And if you're a monopoly, how do I know your value? You're the only game in town. You're going to tell me that your labor is so important and so critical, and maybe it is. And if it is, we should pay you for it. I'm not saying it isn't. What I'm saying is, how do I know? How does the world know? How does anybody know if there's no competition? That's the problem. And when you have government-sponsored monopolies, to create a world with now I have a union, this doesn't just hurt us, meaning the average American, average New Yorker when they go on strike, it also hurts the union workers. You might go, Larry, no, it doesn't. Of course it does. Because now the government can order you back to work and break your strike. So your strike doesn't have the same value that you thought it did. Your strike would have more value if you had more of a market for your labor. Because then those of you who really are as valuable as you think you are, and I'm sure many of you are, and some of you probably aren't. I mean, I don't know that, but that's my assumption. If more of you would say, hey, look, you can go get these guys, but they're bad at what they do, not as good as us, and we're railway workers. You want to watch trains crash? Good luck with that. And I'm going to say, no. I don't want to watch trains crash. That is a bad idea. I don't want that. I would like things to keep moving. I don't want people to fall off Amtrak. I don't want any of that stuff. So you know what? Let's have a conversation. Let's negotiate. That's what I would do as an owner. But we don't get that. Because what happens is the government says, let you guys play around a little bit as much as you can. Then the wealthy people who own all of the railways and things of that sort, and who donate to all of the candidates and all of our officials, go, hey, we're ready to go here. After that, do us a favor, shut it all down. And they go, okay. Yeah, okay. For those of you who lean left, even Bernie Sanders bent. And you would think Bernie Sanders would never bend, right? He's Mr. Socialist. He's never going to bend. He was like, let me bend over right now. He just did it. So while I like the idea and concept of unions and striking to show how valuable your labor is, 100%, I have no problem with that conceptually. How is it actually working? How it's working is monopoly unions, in the case of something like railway workers, we don't know how valuable they actually are. I'm sorry, not true. We don't know how valuable their specific labor is. We don't. It's a monopoly. Now, my assumption is, and I'm assuming this, I'm by no way an expert in this field, that railways probably have very specialized labor, people who need to know special things and have special ideas, special skill sets. That's my assumption. I could be wrong. That's my assumption. But how are we going to know? We don't. So now all we do is go, you know what? It's worker against company. That's it. It's the wrong way to make this happen. Monopolies are never good. And every time that someone goes, well, if we just had, if we just instead made this a utility, if we just made this government sponsored, if we just nationalize this, that'll save everything. I would ask you, when has it ever saved everything? It doesn't. Am I wrong? Tell me, 585-346-3000. Larry Sharp on A Free Solution, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Back with your chat and your calls after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that...
Larry, I don't know if you've heard the story or not, but there's they're having meetings and there's talk of turning Rochester Gas and Electric into a municipal power and gas company now.
If your website doesn't match...
Well, here's the thing. RG&E used to be, a locally owned company, and then they got bought out years ago. They're now part of Avangrid or Avangrid, ABAN Grid. But the company's been, especially in the past year, plagued with all kinds of billing problems. Like, people are getting billed like thousands erroneously. They call customer service, they get on hold for like a half an hour and finally talk to someone. People are scheduling appointments, they're not showing up to fix outages. There's a housing project, I think it's in Greece or Gates. There's many houses built ready to be occupied, but they have no power, no gas, and they've been sitting for like some cases the better part of a year, and the contractor's losing money because these houses he can't finish.
To those who gave
everybody
that text.
Exactly. So, but yeah, just Google RGE, and it's a rather interesting story.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
It is Larry Sharp on A Free Solution, WYSL, Rochester, New York. So happy you giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I appreciate it. I've been talking before the break about unions and monopolies, government-made or government-sponsored monopolies, and how a strike there actually hurts both the people and then actually eventually the workers. The example that I'll give you is one here in New York City. When you're a monopoly, there's no need to have good customer service. You might go, wait a minute, but it's government. Okay, no need for government to have good customer service. How do we know that? Supposedly, the IRS is hiring these 87,000 new workers so they can give us better customer service. I don't believe that at all. But that's the story they tell you, right? Because, well, not enough people can get an answer when they call. I want to be clear. In the case of the IRS, if you're wrong or you mess up, you might go to jail, prison. Your life basically might be over. That's possible. And you can't get someone to pick up the phone. That's how monopoly works. Here in New York City, you might have known, most of you probably know, that when it came to the cable world, I mean like cable providers, Comcast and such, Spectrum and such, that it's basically a cartel system. You guys get A, we'll take B. Don't compete in B, we don't compete in A. That's how it works. Why is almost always one cable company wherever you go? Well, the cable company doesn't have to have good customer service. Why? No place to go. The customer service here in New York City was so bad, the company had to change its name. You may remember there used to be Time Warner Cable. It was so bad, they had to change the name to Spectrum because the name Time Warner would make people want to throw up. It was so bad. Nobody wanted it. Companies like Dish and DirecTV were the reason for the change. Time Warner had no reason to change its terrible customer service. Why? No competition. Where are you going to go? That's all you had. But all of a sudden, you had satellite, Dish and DirecTV, and it's like, and people were dropping Time Warner. I know I did. I dropped Time Warner early, like 2001, 2002, something like that. I forgot when it was. 20 years ago. I was like, I'm done. You guys are terrible. I'm out. The second Dish came out, I was like, I'm on it. And I didn't care how good or bad Dish was. It wasn't Time Warner. And I was like, it can't be worse than Time Warner. And by the way, it's not worse. Time Warner was the worst. So Dish was better. So yes, that was the right move. And people were doing it. And then they said, well, we'll change. We'll change. No one believed them. They had to change their name for people to believe them. People don't realize that Spectrum used to be Time Warner. It's been 20 years or however long it's been, 15 years, whatever the time frame is. They had to change it. That's what monopoly does. Now, I was just talking to my engineer here. He talked about in Rochester, the energy company. They're considering making the energy company, owned by the municipality. Because right now it's basically, as most energy companies are, most are, not all, they wind up becoming cartels or monopolies. And then what happens? Terrible customer service and no recourse. In the case of an energy company, if you're in certain areas of the country, the world's not going to end if you don't get energy for a while. Not going to end. Terrible, not going to end. You're in the Northeast like us, in the winter, people could die. It's a big deal. You've got to get your energy. You can't get it, people could die. But what's the recourse? None. It's a monopoly. So now they want to take the monopoly and make it a government-run monopoly. What could go wrong? Only everything. That's the only thing. Now, there will be some difference. The difference will be when you sue the government monopoly, you might get a check in 10 years. Something. Versus a private company just go under. So maybe you're going to check in 10 years. Hopefully not too many of your family and friends will be dead before then. You can hope. Monopoly is never going to work. Government monopoly is never going to work. This is a problem. Alexander says, the cable companies have been a monopoly by trade, but now most people are switching to streaming services for most of their visual entertainment, and the industry is full of competition. Yes, now some people are upset, Alexander, and I get it. Oh my God, should I buy my Hulu or Netflix, or should I go on Roku? Should I watch it on my... I get it. Do I want Disney Plus? What do I want? If I have a choice of I have too many to pick from or Monopoly, I will take too many to pick from. Right? Netflix had a time when it was basically a monopoly. Right? Basically, because it was so good and so big, it put out whatever it wanted to. And now people thought, oh, it puts out garbage now, I may leave. And that's a good thing. Over time, that will begin to fix itself. We know this. We've watched it happen 1,000 times. The odds are there will eventually be 2 or 3 big ones. That's the odds. And if one gets too bad, the other one will grow. Little ones might pop up. That's a much better way of doing it, right? That's a much better way of doing it. I completely agree with you. Yes. Kathy says, thing is happening right now with Brightspeed purchasing the DSL off of CenturyLink. They're my provider right now. Only one in the area. And I've been working from home with CenturyLink for 3 years. I've not had a stable connection since Brightspeed has taken over, to the point where I've actually filed an FCC complaint against them. Wow. Exactly my point, Kathy. When you have a monopoly, it doesn't work. And let me be very clear. The libertarian in me is always screaming this. If we just have Medicare for all, if we just have single payer, if we just have this one thing, if we just would have federal control, if we would just nationalize it. I hear that all the time. And what you have to understand is all of those things, they are euphemisms for monopoly. So every time someone goes, we should nationalize it. Oh, so you like monopoly? No. I want to nationalize it. So you like monopoly? No, government runs it. Right. So you like monopoly. That's the piece. It is a monopoly. It's just run by the government monopoly, which means you actually have less recourse. Now there is no chance of anyone beating them, right? People didn't see or believe the cartel system in cable could be broken because people didn't see the satellite providers making this happen. Well, I'm sorry, not enough people saw it. And they didn't believe that it would actually work. So they sat in their cartel system, fat, dumb, and happy, until all of a sudden, here come the here come the satellite companies. Well, if it's a government monopoly, government will literally squash any attempt to compete against it. Competing against it will literally be illegal. You will not be able to do so. So there is no chance of breaking a monopoly. At least in the private market, there is some chance if someone can sneak up. Once it's government run, there is no chance. None whatsoever. Dave says 87,000 new IRS agents, and they will not be used to investigate anyone making $600 on a side gig. Yes, of course not. The Democrats promised us they wouldn't. Exactly, Dave. They're going to be picking up phone calls. So, Dave, you can call them if you want to. You can just call them. It's okay. Yes. Gene says, I'll give you 31 trillion reasons why socialized medicine won't work in this country. Yeah, sadly, it's over that. Absolutely. It's over that. That libertarian lady, well, I think I know where you're going to go with this. What's your name? And anything the government touches or tries to monopolize turns to, you can imagine the word she used, it starts with an S. So yes. John says, still need an internet provider for your streaming services. Yes, maybe Starlink will smooth that out. Yes, I agree. So we still have to break up that monopoly too. But streaming is better than monopoly. That's all I'll say. Monopoly bad. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. If you celebrate, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. I will see you all very soon.
The all-new Victor Chrysler Dodge